All right, I've tried to record myself doing this a few times now, speaking through this, and I'm doing a very bad job of it because I'm getting too much into the technical details before showing off what I've built. So, what I want to show is kind of the AI project I've been working on lately. Um, and essentially, it's just a customized Ralph loop. So, what a Ralph, named after the Simpsons character Ralph Wiggum, who's like a dum dum. Essentially, it's you can create a project, or you can already have a project. You install your Claude code or whatever you want locally, and you can kind of talk it through some of the code changes you want, right? And it will get them done. That's fine. A Ralph loop is basically here's an entire list of tasks I want you to do. Instead of just talking back and forth, and you have to be kind of present at your desk to do that. Instead, how about here's 50 tasks, and I'm gonna go get lunch, and you work on those. That's kind of the idea of a Ralph loop. And a big part of that is it has there's this idea of when you're talking back and forth with your LLM, right, with the local agent. I guess it's an agent at the point. You're talking with it, and it's jumping into the code base, doing it, and saying done. What's next, right? And you're talking to it, and you're kind of bloating its context out because it's got this idea of what is the code base, where are we going, but then all the things that you've given it one after the other, and that fills up its context, which makes it worse and worse every time you speak to it. It kind of makes it better in I know what all this stuff does, but it makes it worse because I don't need it to know about this part of the website when it's working on this part of the website, right? And so you're slowing it down, you're making it harder, you're using more tokens than you should to kind of give it this constant giant context. Every time you ask for something new, it's adding all of that context back in. And they're getting better at compressing or removing context that's unneeded, right? They're getting better at understanding that things that you've said that are contradictory will kind of overwrite each other, so it doesn't need to remember that anymore. That's definitely happening, and they're doing a very good job of it. But I think the Ralph loop works really well because you can create a backlog of tickets in a meeting with a bunch of other humans, right? And you can just do your backlog, make it, and then you can just point your Ralph loop at it and it will do them. And that's what I've done. I've basically got a small project locally. I've called it Goldfish. I actually made an app for this. So you can see if I go into one of these tickets, you'll see that it's a GitHub app. So the Goldfish AI is actually the one making these comments, right? On these tickets. And what the idea is, it'll go through a ready list. It has to be kind of a specific laid out project board currently. With tickets in the backlog are going to be ignored. In fact, tickets everywhere are going to be ignored except ready. It's going to look at the ready column. It's going to take them in order, this priority, so by priority and then by size. And it's going to feed them into this agent one by one. And then it's going to wipe its memory, or really it's going to cycle it down, and then it's going to spin up a new one, and it's going to tackle it again, right? The next task. What I've added to it is kind of all of the little pieces of getting work done. So one, you point it at a project board and you point it at the project locally, and it will say, okay, I'm going to work on this task. I'm going to go get the ready tickets and I'm going to loop through them. So I get the first ticket, move it to in progress. I tag it as like which attempt it is because they can, fail on some attempts. It's going to do the code and it's going to go down one or two paths. It's either going to succeed, and if it succeeds, it's going to make a commit, move the ticket to in review. It will add something that it learned or something that it thinks would have been valuable for it to have known up front to a lessons learned file, right? So let me show this here. Let me show this this handyman project. So you can see this website on the right. These are the lessons learned from the 17 tickets that it did, right? So the first ticket, each theme, when the theme's Dev banner is a light color, it doesn't mean that doesn't meet the brief. It's acceptable to use a hard-coded hex directly, whatever, right? It's kind of telling itself in the future. If you kind of could leave one thing behind, what kind of information would you leave, right? What advice would you leave? Then the next bot comes in, and then it gets the lessons learned from the previous ones. It gets all the rest of the context, gets the next ticket, moves it to in progress. Let's say it fails for whatever reason. The acceptance criteria isn't passed after two conditions. One, it either tried and it ran into an issue. It will comment that it ran into an issue and I don't know if I've got it properly there yet, but it should say what the issue is. And then it should move it back to the ready queue. Then it should do that it's cycle down. It'll add something to lessons learned. Maybe that'll help the next bot actually succeed. Maybe not. But then it'll move it back to the ready queue. There's a second condition as well, which is a timer. So each one of these tickets have been given a size. This is an amount of minutes that it should take an AI agent to kind of complete this task. And if it kind of crosses that timeout, it will stop its work. It'll say, I failed because of this, this, and this. It will comment and it will move it back. And it will once again tag kind of the attempt, right? And if it ever reaches three attempts, the same ticket without being solved, it will be moved to the backlog and be ignored. That's when a human needs to come and intervene and see what's going on, right? The interesting part of this, I think the more interesting part is how I got these tickets and the priorities and the sizing was that I created a GPT specifically to build tickets for stuff like this. So it's tech agnostic, right? It's just development projects. And it just needs, basically, I will tell this thing like, hey, I want a project, I want a Python project that does this and this and this. It will say, okay, but what libraries, right? Like, here are some libraries that probably I could recommend to you. What are the best ones? What's your choice? Does this need to be running locally? Do we need to spin it up in a server somewhere? Kind of what is the big picture here? Then once it has enough information, you can talk to it and it will say, okay, here's a ticket for that, right? Say, okay, what's your next task? I want this, this services section. Okay, well, that's one ticket. That ticket's going to be small because it's just kind of a bunch of text really and some boxes. So that's a small ticket. It should take an agent, 5 minutes to do that at the most. That's kind of a limit that we're setting. And it's probably pretty important, right? It's not like breaking the website. It's not going to make the website like special. So probably a P2, right? And so that's what you're seeing here. In fact, let's check exactly what. So this website was built using my Ralph loop. I haven't touched the line of code. So this website was spin up in about 40 minutes, I want to say 45 minutes from this backlog of tickets. I haven't touched any code at all. Even went and pulled these images from places and filled them in. So let's say, where was it? Build the services section. So it looked at this ticket. Here's the context. You got the section, the styling, the services, content, kind of these are the types of things that it should be because I told it, right? This is a website. So for context here, this is a website for my dad. He is a joiner. He's kind of looking for a way to ease out of that into something a little bit easier, as his back's hurting when he's lifting heavy windows and doors, which is what he does every day now. So he wants to kind of open sort of a local handyman business, helping out here and there, and eventually be able to kind of retire into that, right? That was the goal. I said it's a local handyman. It's not a big business. It's not going to have a bunch of staff. It needs to be approachable and friendly, but still professional enough. It still needs to look good, right? And so first I asked it, create a theme, right? Create like color themes. I said probably I want to go with yellow, yellow highlights. Yellow reminds me of building work. You have yellow hard hats, you have a tape measure, you have spirit levels, which is the name of the business that he's opening, the next level handyman. Next level being obviously like he's above and beyond, but then level being like a spirit level. So I told it that, and I said, and then it knew that kind of probably that will go with blue because it's a complementary color to yellow and it's kind of a professional color as well, right? So it went and made that decision itself. Then when it had to build out the services section, it used that theming and it built this out. I didn't tell it what kind of text. I told him, he'll do still does windows and doors, but he does joinery, he can do repairs, he can do this and that. I haven't fully checked with him if all of this text is correct, if this is something that he's interested in doing, but I can tweak that later. The whole point is that it was done from this one little ticket here, right? So I asked it, do this top bar, do this hero bar with the kind of the frosted thing at the side in the image, do the services, do like a gallery of images so we can show off the work. That should also work by going back through the first image and forward through the last image. It should loop, do a testimonial section and make some testimonials up for the time being because I haven't got any yet. And it went ahead and did that. And it even used like names and dates and like local locations to where my parents live. So that's really funny. Dewsbury near Queensbury. So, and Huddersfield. And I went one section at a time building tickets, and then I had it run. and this is what came out. All of these were tagged as AI1 because they all happened on the first attempt. They weren't super complex, but you'll notice that there are some bugs. And so what I want to show here is live, I'm going to run this and I'm going to see what happens when we run the Ralph loop against the bugs that I've created. So for example, you'll see there's a services, there's a gallery, and you can click it and it goes down, but the testimonials doesn't work. So I have this for that. So I have a fix broken testimonials nav link and add FAQ nav, because the FAQ down here also doesn't have a nav icon. Another bug or something that I didn't like is, I think this is a little bit too close to the gallery, and also there's no like text, space for text underneath it. I want some alt text to be added here. I also noticed that the our work, I think that this is not quite as bold as this one, but it might just be the white background that's like tricking my eyes. And so I asked it to just double check to see if it's using the same styling. I also told it up front specifically as part of my environment kind of scope, what I want to say, like project specifics, like a standards guide, is I want it to be use globals, right? Have a theme and kind of don't break out of that theme. Use padding and margins, have like a select set of them, but don't go out of that. It should be using the same set of margins for, spacing around this, spacing between these. It should all be kind of at a global level so that we have this consistency throughout the rest of the app, the rest of the site. And it did that one by one. One thing I want to point out that I found incredible is I've got all of these different sections done, right? I got it to add I'm gonna do up, down, left, right. Added a Konami code, right? Got you. Added a Konami code thing, like, just silly things. I wanted to kind of push it, test it. And then I created one ticket that was I found to be very interesting. This last ticket. I marked it as P3XL because I wanted it to be done very, very last. And I didn't have the dependency thing working yet, but one agent chosen success feature. So I don't think, I haven't even read through this, right? But what it's saying is this, my GPT responded, giving it a guideline of this is what you should do. It shouldn't break the page. It shouldn't do this. It shouldn't do that. But whichever agent works on this, look at the website, think about what other websites have, and then make a feature that you think this website needs, that the agent, that the LLM thinks this website needs, right? And it created this frequently asked questions section, which I think is incredible. I think it's exactly what we needed, and it works really nicely. It just feels smooth, it's tight, it's very clean looking, and I think super useful. And it created this entirely itself. I didn't ask it to do that, so I really loved that. Now, I actually want to go through this whole process with you. So I'm been talking for a very long time. Let's actually get something done. First of all, I'm going to go to my next level handyman tickets conversation, which is, the backlog ticket architect. It already has the context at the very top. It asks me kind of, here's the context, and I can help with create tickets. I'm all good. There are no UI libraries. And so, okay, got it. I'll keep the tickets grounded like this, right? So now I know, send me the first bug or rough task. And then I told it, and it's created this stuff. So we're going to create a new ticket right now. One thing I don't like about this website is if I go off the page, right, if I hit a 404, am I not, have I stopped hosting this? 1 second, let me, where am I? Am I inside my handyman project? I'm not. I'm inside my Goldfish project, which is what I've called the Ralph loop. I'm inside the handyman project. Let me just npm run dev real quick. I guess I do need to touch my keyboard for that when I'm doing specifically this. Okay, so there's the website. Let's go to a page that doesn't exist. All right, so I asked it to create this kind of catch-all page as well, right? And I really like what it did with it. Looks like you've wandered off the job site is a great joke. I absolutely love that. What I don't like is this stupid image that it used. I told it to create something like maybe a hammer hitting a thumb. And I also said, I don't really like go back home. Home is a weird thing. It's a single page website. There's no, I guess it is the home page, but it's also really the only page. So I told it, make that a little more interesting. Or just kind of more in line with what we're doing, right? So let's do that right now. On the 404 kind of catch-all page that says go back to the job site. Kind of looks like you've wandered off. There are two things that I don't like about it that I want to get fixed in this ticket. One, the image that's used, it was a generated SVG image, but it was a good attempt. I don't like it. Instead of using an SVG kind of created image, I would prefer to just grab a picture and put it in there. And then also the text that says go back home, it's a single page website, and so the home isn't really indicative of where you're going back to. I'd like you to change that and just make it a little bit neater, a little bit more interesting, a little bit friendlier for the users. Now, I specifically spoke very vaguely about that, right? I'm going to create this ticket over here as I'm talking. So I very specifically, I was vague. I was, not talking great about how the SVG looked, about how the button sounds a little bit off, right? I'm going to grab all of this and I'm just going to copy and paste it into here. I'm going to create that ticket. I do need to go into here and add these tags. Once again, like I say, I'm working on to make this manual. So P3, it's not that important really, and it's an XS. Very good. And now we have that ticket in there, right? So we've got 8 tickets for it to work on. Whilst I'm talking to you, I am going to run my Ralph loop, and we are going to see it make these changes in real time as we're talking through this. So I'm going to go into my Goldfish project, and I'm going to point it at this. You know what? It might even just be easier if I'll just ask Claude to point to it because it knows where it is. Okay, ready to run the Goldfish against the Handyman project. And so that's going to kind of loop through and start working on those now whilst we are talking. I've made a lot of changes recently, so I haven't actually done a test where this is all working. I've made a lot of changes, not to the Handyman website, but to the Goldfish itself. Added a lot of new features, some for itself, some not. Okay, it's saying just run this command. Oh yeah, it's because I just moved the Goldfish out into its own kind of folder, and I just wanted to make sure that we have like read access to that to the correct place. So we're just gonna run. Oh, copy paste that into the terminal, and it's running. All right, doing pre-flight checks. In fact, let's open it up here. It's doing this pre-flight checks. Failed with one issue with the above issue. So context, project context contains placeholder text. The project context.md has placeholder text. All right, I'm going to go over here and ask what has been going on, because placeholder text shouldn't be in there by now. What I've had to do, that's the Goldfish AI that it was running. So the placeholder text for the Handyman project shouldn't be in there. I actually can not see which text it's talking about. So I'm going to just ask Claude to quickly clean that up. And we'll fix it and we'll run it again. Real quick. Just kind of pasting that in there. It'll fix that up and we'll start running again. Like I said, this is just hiccups from me changing the project itself. Whilst I'm trying to kind of run it and demo it, but I really wanted to just get this off because I want the website to be updated, and so I needed to get this done tonight, so I can get back to working on the Goldfish. I'm working on another project that I want to do. Okay, yes, you can edit that file. Yeah, it's changing. Oh, placeholder images. Okay, I see it. Yes. I don't know why it would have failed there though. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I think it just didn't like that I had called it. Placeholder maybe. So I'm running it again. We'll let that pre-flight check run. And then I'll walk you through kind of the new changes I've been doing. Okay, actually, first of all, I need to show you it is actually running. So it's running now. You can see it's pulled all of these different tickets in. It's going to move this one to in progress. It's checking resolving dependency order. It's got the execution order already. Moved it into in progress, and we should see that the Goldfish added AI tag, right? AI1 is the attempt, and it also moved it from here to here, which I don't think it did say updated. Ready to in progress. You see, it's using my account still to move the tickets. That's obviously a bug with Goldfish. I am going to report that, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to tell my Claude code that. this like specific instance, like I just did a minute ago to do a fix, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this Goldfish project and I'm going to add it as a ready ticket here, right? So I'm going to go to my backlog ticket architect. I'm going to go to my Goldfish tickets. Where are they? It's in one of these conversations somewhere. Goldfish tickets, where are you? Goldfish AI tickets, here we go. And I will dictate to it what has gone wrong, and it'll make a ticket. I'll put it in the ready column, and then I'll run the Goldfish loop against itself, right? I'll do that in a little bit later after we've had this. But first, fix the Messenger CTA hover flicker. So this thing was, it's already fixed, so we can't see it. It's moved to in review. This was flickering like crazy, this messages thing, but now it's working. Broken testimony is nav link, so this should work in a second and we'll test it. But what I want to show you is a couple of things. So one, this is the Goldfish AI. It's running. You can see all the things that it's done. It's kind of spitting things out, moved it to in review. Got the next ticket, right? It's got a 300-second, 5-minute timeout for extra small. That's the fix broken testimonies and add the other nav. Found the issues, the testimonies bug never uses this, and the missing FAQ never uses this. So I've got the output streaming nicely. That was a new feature that I added recently. But the main thing that I wanted to show you is now inside of lessons learned, there should have been a new lessons added, which is correct. For a fixed floating widget, use this position. It's more reliable than this. And so it added that information. Probably not a great thing to add to the lessons learned file, to be honest, because it was only very specific for this issue that it solved. But that's okay, because we can clean up this lessons learned file. Oh, something must have just been fixed because it just added for the testimonial rotation with non-repeating buffer. Nope, that's not it. It was this one. I just saw it get added. A nav section mismatch, the label testimonies, ID testimonials, so it knows what's wrong. And now, we see the FAQ here, and it works. And we'll see the testimonials, and it works. So it just made those. I'm on the AI dev branch, obviously. This isn't pushing the code up. And then make the navbar sticky. This one wasn't sticking. This navbar is supposed to be sticky. It's not sticking. Let's see what happens with that. But yeah, it's running. Let's just kind of let it run. Verify the build passes, and then it'll just kind of loop through this one by one. I want it to get to our ticket so that we can see the newly created ticket working, and so you can see it wasn't just a kind of faked out, version of this working, but it's actually working live. So that's really just a Ralph loop, right? The secret sauce is just the Ralph loop with an amazing coding agent behind it. What I've done to it is tried to build this shell around it so you can essentially create a project really fast, and then you can create a backlog of tickets really fast, and those tickets are designed in a very specific way to be readable easily by the Goldfish and executed upon, right? So that's a couple of different things. So it's the GPT that I created that I had to go back and forth with a lot of different prompting on, setting it up. There is the actual Goldfish itself, which does a lot of really interesting things, not just the loop, but the actual GitHub projects. I like that it points it to a GitHub project board, but also the bootstrapping, which I'll make a separate video on. I want to make a separate video on essentially where there's no project, no folder, nothing, and I bootstrap. I tell it, this is what I want. It will create the folder. It will create the repo. It will create the dev branch, the AI dev branch that I need it to work from. It will add all of the .goldfish. So you can see I've created the Goldfish with this kind of structure of a .goldfish files, which has a bunch of project-specific things. The .goldfish file will live in the project itself, right? So this is the Goldfish AI project. And then inside of the Handyman project, you can see it also has these .goldfish files, right? And that's this lessons learned. It's a config environment, and then the project context, right, of what it's using, what tech stack it is, what kind of globals and theming we want to do, and that's kind of updated at the beginning during the bootstrap, and then the Goldfish can kind of run it, right? It also has obviously the project board, right, link. So you can do this manually. You can either download the Goldfish repo and then add the Goldfish environment files using the Goldfish environment file examples. Change which model you want to use, change any kind of coding structures or standards, change the tech stack, change kind of the feel of whatever project you're supposed to be on as well, right? Like I said, this is supposed to be very relaxed, casual when you're doing like front end work. but you can add a lot more technical things in there as well. And then it also has the capture ticket loop, which will loop through. Eventually, it will hit my GPT or probably an OpenAI API or whatever. Essentially, I need to extract that prompt and put it somewhere else. So then it will create the ticket backlog and then execute them. There's a couple of other things I want it to do, which is, what did it just get done? Improve the gallery heading. Oh yeah, so now I added this text. That's nice. And the gallery header, it looks like it didn't change it, so it must have been correct. The navbar is still not sticky. Maybe if I give it a quick refresh, the navbar is still not sticky, right? And if I go full screen here, because this thing was kind of moving into the middle of the page, I want to make sure that that is still not happening. If I go here and wobble this around, no, it's sticking there. It's very dynamic, as you can see. It's done all of this kind of for me, which is very nice. Just has all of that. Super dynamic. See my Discord and my Steam there. I shouldn't be recording this how I am, but that's how I'm doing it. Using OBS, normalize styling tokens and eliminate one-off design values. I don't remember creating this ticket, but I think this is just a cleanup ticket, essentially. It's not doing anything we're going to be able to visualize here. It's just making sure, because I think I read through some of the code, and I was like, I don't like what you've done here and here, and so I made a ticket for that. You can see it's ticket number 28, so it was the last one I made before this. Before I started kind of recording the video. But we'll just let that run a little bit more. Let's see if I go back in here and we see the terminal. What have we got here? So this one's a medium, so it's got like quite a little bit of time. It's never going to take this long because it's a simple task. It's a small code base. This is just a limit that I wanted to set for kind of general projects, right? Like if something is medium and the GPT knows those sizings, and so it creates the priority and sizing from the context of how long an agent would have to complete it, given some buffer, of course, as well. I would really have loved to have used like a token limit, right? So you can know exactly how much you're willing to spend on each ticket, but it just doesn't really work because agents change, LLMs change so much, models change so much. You know, if you want them to be a little bit thinkier, they cost more tokens, or you can have tokens that get used up really fast, but because they want to kind of they spin off and do other things, right? Like they go check online, they're going to go do this, and so you're kind of limiting yourself because you don't really know how many tokens something's going to take. That's just an issue, right? It's an issue with AI in general. You're kind of just spending money without knowing exactly. It's the same as a human being asked to estimate a project, and I think that is wonderful. If you will be asked to estimate how long a project will take to be completed, it's always wrong. Ask an AI how many tokens it's going to use before it's completed the task. It has no idea, and if it gives you a number, it's lying. Same with humans, and I think there's kind of a beauty to that for sure. So it's running that. It's, what did it say? Now I have a clear picture of all the hard-coded values. Let me make the changes. So it's working on that just now. So like I said, the next challenge here is I have a lot of it already set up, but I want to test creating a project from scratch, essentially by just downloading the Goldfish repo, running the script, the bootstrap script to speak a project into existence, which is create the folder, create the repo, create the the branches, create the exactly kind of big picture what I'm looking at, create the backlog of tickets, then execute the tickets, and whilst it's executing, I go chill out with my family, and then I come back and it's all done, and all I've done is talk to it. Then I want to add a couple of extra things. Actually, this might already work. I haven't tested it. You'll see that what I did here, so this is the next level handyman project. You can see inside the pull requests, I already pulled them in, and I pulled them in without even really going through the code very deeply. And that's a faux pas for sure. I do need to make sure I'm checking a little bit, especially as I'm just starting to kind of build this out. But I wanted to get something up. Cloudflare, I was having issues with Cloudflare, and I just needed to give it a kick to make sure the DNS records were all lined up. So, and the Cloudflare hosting was working. So I actually do need to go back through these commits. I need to go back through these like 2 pull requests. One of them, Why is this Goldfish AI to Dev and the Ralph? Oh, because I changed it from the Ralph loop to the Goldfish. That's when I'd named it. When I started building it out to actually be something I think I would consider kind of its own thing, I renamed it, and that's when these next files got changed. So, what got changed in here? Hey, something just happened here. I added a 5th service. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was weird, right? It showed me like it added it and then it didn't look good, so it made it smaller. That was cool. So I added a 5th service here. There's odd jobs. That means another ticket's being completed. We can go over here. Yeah, we've got the odd job services. That'll get done now any second. And then we've got the fix Geek King Cloud photo link. So this is funny. All they've done is add spaces between my names. So obviously this opens my GitHub. But you can see that there are the spaces between Geek and King and Cloud. I need to remove those. That should take no time at all. But I told you I wanted to make the Goldfish. I'm dipping my toes in and I'm making changes to it, to the scripting, to the config and stuff. But this website, my test was to not ever touch a line of code and see how it does, right? That's why I've done that. But yeah, I need to go through all this and see what has been done. And then I also need to go back through the Goldfish pull request as well. So this is the pull request here. A lot of files changed, 3,000 lines of code updated. I don't want to show you all of that code, but these are all the commits. And I need to get through that as well, because now I've got, where's my project board for the Goldfish loop? This project board, I just told you, I just found a bug that I'm going to add to this. But all that bootstrapping stuff, I haven't really tested it out. So I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of issues to put into here and fix that up. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. The goal is make a product essentially. Oh, here we go. So that got done. So let's go to the 404 page and see what gets changed. So this text should change and this image should change. And then we should be done with the loop. And then what it'll do is, because it's finished with the loop, it will make a pull request against the dev branch. Oh no, that's awful. It's going to resize that. Take me back. I don't like that either. I don't know why it's a picture of a watch, but I think that's what it found to be good. I don't like take me back. It's kind of aggressive. I'll make another ticket and I'll say, hey, I don't like that text. Like I say, I'm trying not to do any work on this at all, coding wise. Even though it's very annoying not to be able to, but that's kind of the idea. You can see all of this stuff that got done. Once this in progress ticket gets moved, which it should do now if it's happy with this. Weird choice of image for sure, but what are you going to do? It has a limited supply. I need to change all of these images anyway. The actual images itself, it can go and grab them, but they need to be real, right? I obviously need real work that my dad has completed for this. So this will all get changed anyway. Oh my God, it changed it back. No, it didn't. All right, so they're in review now. So let's go see pull requests and see if the new, is this the one opened now by Goldfish AI? There you go. It's got all the new commits in it. Ready to be checked by me. And you know what? Let's test something. Let me test something because I wanted, I don't think it works. I don't think I have the hook enabled or anything, but I really want to just see how this would work, because what I wanted to say really, oh wait, actually I wanted to go back to pull requests here. On this pull request, the two closed pull requests over here, what I wanted to do is be able to comment and it would hook back and execute on this, right? Obviously, currently there is no model that I have just running. This is my machine that I'm just running on locally. What I need is to outsource this to a, I have a Proxmox box set up over there with a couple of Debian instances on it. I need to have this essentially open and ready to receive a hook and then spin up the instance and run it against anything that goes that happens here. And I want that to happen either when something gets added to the ready queue, it should just immediately work on it, unless I'm doing like a whole process, right? Like I can send a hook. I can call an API, sorry, when I'm ready to do that, but I want a hook to happen when I comment on a ticket. When I comment on a ticket, I'm going to comment here and I want to say, hey, I don't actually like that text, change it. That should hook it back. It should spin it up. It should give it this context again, and then it should give my comment, and it should work on that immediately. That hook is obviously reliant on me moving this or running it on a Debian instance that I have, or whatever instance, but a server somewhere else, and have it just kind of ready all the time. I do have that set up. I haven't installed Goldfish on it yet, or pulled the repo and have it kind of running and waiting. It's just the server's not there. So I'll get that working, and then I'll make another video and show you that. But that's kind of the next idea. I want to be able to comment on things that I didn't like. I want to be able to bootstrap an entire project. And I want to be able to have it all kind of run with a single command, right? And it should use voice. It currently only works on Linux to use voice. It transcribes it, creates the project, creates the tickets, all from like one bootstrap run. And you can speak to it as well, but it currently doesn't work on like Windows and stuff. So who cares about Windows anyway? I'm running on Windows in case you haven't noticed. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. But I think not software developers aren't in trouble. I think we having a good grasp of how software works, right? And how systems work, how services work, how computers work, I think is very, very important for this, right? I know that I need a server ready to kind of run this stuff for it to work. I think people that aren't, let's say, they're just not that involved in tech, it's just magic to them, right? They want to be able to add a comment here and it should just work. They wouldn't understand how to build that. And so that's kind of what this does. For right now, it's like this is a Squarespace killer is what I think of it, right? Like I can just talk a website into existence and it looks really good. Then the next step is to actually make this agnostic and just kind of work on any project. But then to go even bigger, because if you want to do a real project, you need a database and you need cloud services and you need an EC2 server running with connections to a database on it or hosting something. Currently, this is it's just using Cloudflare and it's just picking it up from a worker using pages from my GitHub repo. So it's just hosting it. So this is actually live if you go to the website, but the main thing I want to do is to be able to also, what about using AWS CLI? And it can, get in there. You can give it access to it with an environment key, right? When you create the project, when you run the bootstrap, it should create the env that you need, right? That here's the Amazon key stuff, or you can use the Amazon CLI, whatever you need to do, and it will go and create EC2 instances for you, and it will go create databases for you. It'll hook everything up, and so essentially just kind of speak projects into existence. Right now, it's a very local or just kind of very simple website setup, right? But I'm trying to build this out to be really just sort of generic. Yeah. I think it's a crazy time to be a developer. Like it's a lot of fun, can be a little bit scary. If you're not using AI to do cool stuff like this, then you might be in trouble. Anyway, I've been speaking solid for like 40 minutes and I'm tired and I don't know if I rambled too much or this wasn't interesting, but I had to make it for myself and just to share with a couple of the people I thought might find it interesting. But yeah, I mean, you just saw it in practice. This stuff all works. All a couple of these things that I changed all work. Obviously, this was very simple. It was a lot more impressive when it built the website from scratch, but it also took a long time to run that, right? It took like probably a full 45 minutes, maybe even an hour to get each one of these done. But like I said, you can kind of record a meeting, use those meeting notes. Eventually, I mean, I guess the idea is eventually you could have like a note taker inside of your meeting. It creates a bunch of tasks, right? Like it says this person owns this and this person owns this. Those note takers already exist, but then you could just immediately extrapolate that information that it's kind of condensed for you, feed it into this kind of backlog ticket creator tool, and it would create a backlog of tickets just from an in-person meeting that you had. And you could automate all of that and it would execute. So you could have a meeting, go for lunch, and when you come back, everything you spoke out in the meeting is already complete, or there's a PR waiting for you, right? And then you can make comments saying this doesn't work, that's a little bit off, whatever, and it'll go ahead and just fix those. Incredible stuff. Bye.